Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Batman issue 6, written by Matt Fraction, with art by Jorge Jimenez, colors by Tormo Mori, and letters by Clayton Cowles. Bruce Wayne has a little explaining to do, as after being tended to by some EMTs, Dr. Zella asks what she heard about Robin telling Bruce, who is supposedly the young hero's father. Bruce is a very lucky man though, as it turns out that Zella thinks that he definitely isn't Batman, but his son is Robin and never told him he moonlights as a hero. He quickly apologizes to Zella for the turbulent night they had and excuses himself, disappearing from the ambulance. Fraction nipping this right in the bud at the beginning of the issue is great. I'm glad we aren't getting another protracted, does she know, does she not know sort of thing with Zella. I imagine she will eventually find out that Bruce Wayne is indeed Batman, but I'm glad that, that's not going to be a story we're going to deal with right now. I'm also a little sad because, as I said in my last review, I kind of liked the dynamic they had during that date night where Bruce was kind of being all like suave James Bond and she was kind of being the very capable sidekick to him. It was a really fun dynamic that they had. It was very flirty, and I guess we're not going to be getting any of that anymore. I guess, we're not going to have any more dates with these two characters. I think Bruce is going to want to keep his distance from her so she doesn't get suspicious. Back at Pennyworth Manor, Damian is taking his frustration out on a punching bag, bloodying his fists as he hates he has made a mistake. Bruce arrives, wanting to talk with him, and as soon as Damian tries to make an excuse and wave off the mistake as just that, Bruce smashes apart the bag with one punch, berating his son for what he did and acting like he thinks he knows everything, where he very clearly does not. He demands his son smarten up before he gets himself killed. Never having heard his father really talk like that to him, Damian storms off, and I know people weren't particularly fond of this scene. They didn't really like it since they feel it was, out of place or anything, but I'm like, no, this is perfectly in character. This is perfect for what Bruce needs to do. Bruce needs to show Damian that he needs to grow up and get it together. And Bruce not letting Damian get away with this one is great. It's, it's that evolution. It's not stagnating the relationship. He wants his son to move on and actually find something else in life other than superheroing. It's definitely a direction I'm all for. I'm all for these characters evolving and not, just staying the same person over and over again. Meanwhile, at Old Wayne Manor, the crime families all take off, having watched their loved ones all be gunned down by the Minotaur. Tozuki, the Japanese member of the meeting, feels a call from Hugo Strange, who reveals that the man's sword boys failed and didn't kill Zella, and now it's all across the news. Hugo is pissed that Suzuki failed him, so he decides to go through with his own plans, which involve his monster men. See, I knew Strange was going to be the one behind this. He was very jealous of Zella and what she was doing with the Crown of Storms and how that would impact his work. So it makes sense for him to want to come for her, and he's using all these different shell corporation people to make it look like he's not doing anything. It's been a hot minute since we've had him as a recurring villain in a Bat Book 2, so I'm eager to see what Fraction has cooking up for him. Harvey Bullock, meanwhile, meets with Jack and Houston, who gives Bullock the video on Vandal Savage planting the Batarang evidence at the cop killer crime scene. Harvey watches it and then gives the phone back to the boys, knowing that there's nothing that can be done in this town to shut Vandal down. Jack wants to go and see the surviving cop since he could help them and reveal who actually did what, but Bullock knows that he was strangled in his sleep just that other day, something we saw Vandal actually do himself, and he warns Jack and Houston to watch their backs. Bullock getting the whole forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown moment with Jack and Fraction leaning him into an even more washed up PI role is just so good. It fits him to a T. And even the way Jimenez draws him here, where he's just so washed up and over the hill and just gross looking. It's how I always envisioned Bullock looking and how he needs to always look. And I'm sure he's going to get involved in the story and be like, I'll kind of do my job and just try and, help out where he can. So I'm very much looking forward to him getting more page time in the coming issues. Later on at Tozuki's HQ in Portside, the place is completely destroyed by Hugo Strange's monster men as Batman arrives, saving Houston's old neighbor from being killed. Batman grabs them with a grapple, pulling them with the bat reel, yanking them out of the building very fast before telling the woman she is safe. The old woman making a comeback here and doing her bat ear thing as kind of like a summoning for Batman is great. I love when writers bring little one-off characters they create back like this. And it's something that's going to connect Batman, albeit unknowingly now, to Houston's part of the story, which he'll no doubt get involved in real soon, since that's kind of a smoking gun he's got for Vandal there. As the woman gets clear of the carnage, Batman battles the monsters, using his bat blades to slash the monsters open, as he tells them that he knows they are Hugo Strange's monster men, although he doesn't think that Strange has upgraded their design in any way. Suddenly, the building is lit up by a hail of gunfire from outside, as Vandal's task force have arrived and are targeting Batman, and manages to bring in the Batmobile with his voice commands, which gets him out of there before anyone can stop him. Bats' first interaction with the task force is exactly what it should have been, quick and to the point. It's great that it wasn't a protracted fight or anything, and one that just gives us a taste of things to come. Notably, how the task force aren't just rent-a-cops and actually catch Batman off guard for a moment there, so they aren't to be messed with. And it is also for Batman's sake, he now knows what he's up against and what he's dealing with, and that Vandal is actually taking things seriously this time. Later at the auxiliary Batcave, Tim comes to see Bruce, wanting to talk with him. Bruce listens as Tim tells him that as Robin, he feels he's missing out on life, one with Bernard and one he wishes that he could have, having seen some people from a rooftop, and how he felt like he was also owed a life like that, which is why he wants to take a break from being Robin and Batman's partner. Bruce couldn't be more than happy for Tim, as this is what he has been fighting for, telling Tim that he can always come back if he wants, but he hopes he never does. Tim hugs Bruce, who doesn't really see himself as a bit of a hugger, but Tim isn't letting go. Man, this is just the perfect moment. It captures what Bruce really wants for his children. He wants them to break free from him and from the Batman curse and find the life they deserve, and also a life that he can never have. It's contrasted nicely with the scene earlier with Damian, who just kind of refuses to move on. He's acting very childish, always trying to make up excuses and, never face, the problem head on or anything like that. And he doesn't want to grow as a singular person. And we have Tim here realizing that there is more to life than being a Robin. And I just love that Bruce treats it with love and affection and happiness. So it's very odd to see, Batman actually be very happy with one of his wards like that. While Batman finally gets a moment to sit down and take in everything that has happened that night, Dr. Zella goes back to Arkham Towers, talking with patient 10, who wants to know how her date with Bruce Wayne went. Zella chats with the patient as she changes out the titanographene on the Crown of Storms, finding the patient has burned out a Nulla cell, meaning he has broken more of the material than the entire space program has. She tells the patient how she met Bruce's son, but they didn't really get to speak all that much. Interestingly, Zella lies about her head wound, and instead of revealing the turbulent night her and Bruce had, she merely tells the patient that she was in a car accident thanks to a crappy rideshare driver. Patient 10 asks if she is going back to see Bruce again, but Zella doesn't answer, instead fixing the Crown of Storms and approaching patient 10's tank to put it back on them. The patient apologizes for all the personal questions, but Zella asks him about the friend he told her about and how he wants to be able to reach out to them and maybe even set up a meeting. The being says that they did reach out, but they haven't heard back yet, as the patient is revealed to be the Joker, who claims this person they reached out to is their best friend, that of course being Batman. Joker making his grand return to Batman comics as Zella's patient with the Crown of Storms is just great. It's a real trial by fire for the new technology. And I love the little tidbits that Fraction puts here, like the device is meant to sort of like basically turn an insane person saying quiet their thoughts. And I like with Joker, it is doing that, but because he's, I guess, so insane and so out of his mind, it burns through the titanographene very fast. So she has to keep changing it out. So the quicker that runs out, the quicker he comes back to being Joker, I guess. Because right now he seems very reserved, very sort of, not like Joker at all. He makes like little haha jokes here and there, but he seems very reserved, which I guess the crown is working in some regards. So it's very interesting to see all this sort of stuff actually start to work. And I'm intrigued to see if they're going to keep a sane Joker around. We've had that before a couple of times, and it's never stuck around because, come on, who wants a sane Joker? You want want Joker out there, spraying people in the face with acid flowers and, creating big toxic bombs of his laugh gas and all that sort of stuff. I also believe that this is post DCKO as well. So I guess him being in the tank and, looking a little bit pudgy and kind of out of it is maybe some fallout from what Bruce did to him in the final couple of issues of the event, where he kind of got back at Joker for killing him and he ends up kind of killing Joker or crippling him or something. It was kind of left very vague, making him a more Hannibal Lecter in that regard, though. He's stuck in the cell. Batman has to come and see him, from time to time, work out, crimes and that sort of stuff. Feels like we haven't had that dynamic for a while. So it's nice to bring that back and have Joker be slightly more subdued, at least for now at first. I'm sure he's going to go crazy and you'll be back to Joker as we know it. And I'm really looking forward to that. Batman issue 6 dealt with a lot of the fallout from the last issue, so in that regard, it was kind of a standby issue as we move from one arc to the next. There is some great stuff here though between Bruce and the Robins, specifically Damian, and how Bruce finally decides to do a bit of parenting and tell him what he needs to do with his life, while Tim decides to actually have a life and actually stop being Robin for a little bit, which Bruce has always wanted for his family, for them to stop the fight, finish the fight. The fight is done for them. And I really like that scene where, Tim comes and tells him that he wants to have a family and a life. It was a really nice little scene, paralleled really well with the earlier Damian stuff, where he's telling his son, who won't give up the life of being a hero, that he needs to give up the life and actually have a life outside of being a hero. Joker is back next issue, so I'm looking forward to what Fraction is going to be doing with them. I'm very intrigued to see his take on the Joker and what he has in store for him and Batman. I'm going to give this issue a 7.5 out of 10.